Good morning. Today we're going to be taking a look at how we can make an app using iOS and SwiftUI, and we want to talk about why we're using the @state on here. And so we've been noticing in some of the videos we've been working with state as our way of the way we're going to be talking to things. And the reason is because if we don't have state, we aren't able to actually do any modifications inside the actual app, because when we're talking about structs, they can't change what's inside them easily, especially when you're doing actions that use, say for example, UI elements like buttons. And so because of that, we have to make sure we have a state on there so we can have something that's internal that can change based on the interaction with you, the user, when you're working with the program. So what we're going to do right now is a nice little silly app. You want to go ahead and make your own app. As you can see right here, I've done my regular organization, my project. Take a look at some other videos on how you can do that. But what we're first doing is we want to make some local data members that can exist for this state app that we can use it so we can demo what's going to happen with it. As you can see right here, we have a whole bunch of data members that are all marked with the @state property wrapper, indicating these values are important. We're going to be using to track internal state, aka what's inside it, like my shirt. Yeah, I know. So the first one we have is count. It's an int, it's set to 0. Then we have a scalar, that's a double. I'm doing 1.01 to start off. Rotate set to 0 again, also a double because it's going to be rotating some amount. And then options is a string list or string array. And I put this with a bunch of emojis because it's a lot of fun. Now you do not have to use my exact emojis. Have some fun with this. Pick some things that work nice for you. I'd say get at least 6 to 8 options in there so you can have that. As you can see right there, I'm just initializing it right there inside my data member section. And then a private state var for random index, starting that off at 0 so I can get access to that. We're not going to use anything to start off with that. As you can see, the next thing we have is our var body, and it's some view, and I just put it in creating with code just to start off. It's a nice little quick little placeholder because we have to have something in there first. The first thing we want to do is we want to make sure we make a method called update. And we want to make sure when we make that method that we put it inside the body of the struct. It needs to actually belong to the struct to make life a lot easier. Again, when we're talking about when we're creating things, the methods belong to what they're working with most of the time. And so this update method belongs to the demo view or silly view, whatever we're naming it, as you work inside that. So inside our update, we've got 3 parts we're going to be working with. We'll go ahead and take a look at those really quick. The first part we have is we're going to do the update to the actual amount that we're working inside here. So our count's going to go up by 1 each time. I know, amazing. And then we're going to have our scalar go up by 0.27. So we're going to get scale is going to grow some amount. And then we're going to have our rotate also go up by 2.5. So it's a rotating 2.5 degrees each time because it's a nice little amount. And then we have to do a little bit of a reset here. If our scalar gets too big or if our rotate gets too much, the rotation takes and we don't want to see that. We want to see something that actually makes sense. So we're going to have, if our rotate gets too big, we'll reset it back down to 0. If our scalar gets too large, we'll reset it back down to 0.07. Again, making it so it goes nice and small so we can have some impact on that. Finally, the last one on here is if count mod 17 equals 0. I picked 17 because it's a prime number and primes are fun, but also 17 is a nice amount that we can see a good visual representation of something when we're actually working with this. Every 17 iterations, I'm going to say random index is going to be a new random number modulo by options.count. So it's going to reference back up here to this options variable, how many things are inside that, so I can randomly circulate through the values that are inside that list or array. So that's what we're going to work with inside that. So that update method again is inside the actual logical body of the struct. We're going to collapse it back out because we don't need to see it ever again. And then we're going to go ahead and take a look at inside our body. So the first thing we're doing with the body is we want to go ahead and replace the text creating with code. We want to put a Z stack and a V stack inside here so we can have some stuff organized with that. It's going to be a Z stack. And we're going to have the text inside there. And after the text, we're also coming to V stack inside that. So we have it now. So it's a text with a Z stack and a V stack. So right here, we have that right there. And this is just going to make it so we have something behind us and then in front of us. The behind us is going to be back there all the time, and the in front of us is going to be right here. The next thing we're going to do is we're inside our VStack, we're going to go ahead and we're going to place a little bit of some code inside here. We're going to make a text and a button so we can use that actual method we just called that update method we wrote. So we'll go ahead and make a text right here. The second parameter of the button is named action, and it's a call to what method we're going to be working with that, and that method needs to have no parameters, so we'll just call update. And again, when we're working with that, when we do this, we don't actually put anything inside there. We don't put parens on that. We just simply give the name of the method. And we're going to like click right here because click is exactly what we're going to be doing. And inside here in this text, instead of creating with code, we're going to add a reference to count. And so we're going to just say count is, and then we'll do the \parens for the lovely interpolation escape sequence, and we'll put count in there. That way we can actually talk to the count variable. Now, we have right here, you can see creating code is behind that because it's in front of it right there in the Z stack. And I'm going to go ahead and Command B to build, making sure everything's happy right there. And you can see this right here, it rebuilt successfully. I'm going to resume my lovely preview right here. And when I click, my count goes up, and I mean, it's not even as cool as Cookie Clicker, and that was a pretty silly game. But wait, there's so much more we can do with this. So what we're going to do to make this even better is we're going to add some scaling effects and some change to this using this lovely Z-stack, the Z-stack reference right here. And instead of having the text screen with code, we're going to go ahead and make it so it's going to reference the actual options array and then make some changes based on that. So the first thing we're going to do is we're going to take out the creating with code. I know it's cool. We like creating with code. Creating with code is also pretty cool. And instead of doing that, though, we're going to talk to our options array. And inside the options, we're going to go to random index. Now, by default, it's set to 0 because the count right there. So it uses that as its default value for random index on here, index 0. We have that cute little alien right there, right behind it. And so now when I click, my count goes up. And every 17, boom, I get a new random thing. This is pretty amazing. I mean, yeah, this will keep you busy for at least 30 seconds, maybe longer. But wait, there's more. What we want to do now is we want to apply some effects to this so we can have some cool changes on that. And the way we're going to do that is we're going to apply some properties to this lovely text right here. We're going to make it so it can have 3 different levels of effect. We're going to make the size go up. We're going to make it so it can rotate in that orientation, as well as do a rotation around inside 3D space. So we have a rotation effect, a rotation 3D effect, and a text modification. So let's go ahead and add those in right now. The first one we do is the font. And so we just do press enter and we do .font. And then inside there, we're going to do a parens and another parens. And we're going to set the do to .system. And inside system, we're going to set the size to, and we want it to have a parameter that says be a CG float. And this is one of those carryovers from old Objective-C land. And we're going to take it so that CG float is going to be a multiplication. We're going to take a 20 times our scalar variable. And so now we have a font right here. And just do a command B on that. So our build's successful. We'll resume that. And so the first thing we're going to do is we're going to just make it so it has that lovely scale effect right there. And look at that. It's so amazing. We have this growing lovely thing, and randomly it grows and chooses between each thing. So we've got this cute growth effect. That's pretty cool on its own. Okay, that's great. Let's now add a rotation effect, the next one. So again, press enter and then a dot, and we'll add a rotation effect. And the rotation effect for its parameter, we want to give it an angle. And we're going to initialize the angle with degrees. And the degrees parameter is going to be rotate. We have that lovely rotate parameter variable right here. It starts off at light here 0.0, and then it gets changed inside our update method every time we click. So again, we'll save and build. And now we have this cool rotation effect. Oh, so cute. And it keeps on rotating. This is amazing. Okay, and we have it so it resets the rotation automatically as it gets to a certain spot. That's pretty cool. But wait, one last thing. Let's add a rotation 3D effect. So rotation 3D effect. And with a rotation 3D effect, we need an angle and an axis. So the first thing to do is we're going to pass it an angle. And the angle that we're going to do is, of course, initialized with the degrees. And we're going to make that degrees parameter be rotate times scalar. And then our next parameter is axis. And for axis parameters, we have an x, y, and a z. And inside that, we'll just go ahead and do x colon, comma, y colon, and a z colon. And we're going to start off the x colon at a 12.0, our y colon at a 10.0, and our z colon at 0.0, because we don't need to do anything special on it. Make sure our parens all match. Command Z, Command B. Build that out. Axis colon. Make sure I put my colon on that. Save. Build. Okay, my build is successful. So again, a rotation 3D effect. I have an angle that I'm going to send it to. My angle degrees is going to be rotate times scalar. I'm going to go ahead and try this again since I did that lovely error. I have to refix that really quick. And now, watch what happens. OMG. Look at that thing flip around. This is so cute. Yes. Amazing. This is an amazing tool. And so this is just pretty amazing right here. We can make it so it can rotate around, do some cool flips. Now, if we wanted to make some changes, if we didn't want that rotate to, we can make that rotate happen a little bit more instead of less than 50. If it gets greater than 50, we can make that be 75. And we can have that change right here. So if I add that change on this and continue clicking, we can see now that my rotation effect has a bit more of a difference. We can see more rotation. You do have a limit on how much rotation makes sense, but right here, as you can see, it gets really cool. So this is just a quick little way we can demonstrate how we can use state. We can have a reference to that and change some cool values and do a quick little demo with that. So again, take a look at this, have some tryout, have some fun. We'll try this more and do some cool things. Thanks again and have a great day. Cheers.